Hey guys, Omar here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get beautiful light using only 3 speed lights. My normal setup is 2 lights. I like to sandwich my lights. So anywhere I use my lights, I have a main light and the hair light that goes around. But if you're shooting with speed lights, you actually need 3 because you'll need 2 for the front and 1 for the back if you're using my system. You actually can do this with 2 speed lights if you wanted to. You can have 1 in the front and 1 in the back. Now, one of the first things you'll need if you're using first of all, why use 2 speed lights in the front? Well, for one reason, it gives you a little bit more spread in your modifier. I use really large modifiers, so it's good to have 2 speed lights to spread the light. The other reason is if you have 2 speed lights, they're not working as hard, so you actually can have a faster recycle time, you can shoot fast, and I shoot like a maniac. So I like having 2 speed lights that are both on the same channel, and what I could do is control them, turn them both off, raise their power, lower their power. So both speed lights are kind of working as one. I'll link everything below, but this is the main thing I use for the main light. This is a double bracket, an impact double bracket. The modifier I usually put on here is a 7-foot parabolic umbrella. I love large modifiers because they give beautiful soft light. Now the third light is in a imitation Westcott, what are they called? Apollo, 50-inch Apollo boxes. Newer makes them for about 30 bucks. They work great. You can buy a grid for them, but they set up really quickly, and I like to use them both as a hair light, but also if I want to grab one really quick and fire with it, just using 1 speed light. All right, so I'm gonna jump on the computer and show you the behind the scenes shoot with 3 speed lights.
Okay, so here we have the 2 speed lights, and you can also tell from this picture that the coverage isn't fantastic. So what I like to do is mount them skewed like this, 1 up, 1 down, and at least get a little bit better spread into the umbrella. Now, I'm going to embarrass myself right now. I'm gonna show you some old photographs of why it's important to know what you're doing. This is before I knew anything about why I should gel my flashes. So if you notice, the colors of the subjects are, quote, normal. They're white balanced to be daylight or 5300-ish K, but the background is completely orange, very tungsten. And so what you want to do is you want to gel your speed lights so they are also tungsten and also orange. So what I'll do is I'll put some CTO orange gels onto the flashes, and that obviously will make my subjects orange, but if you fix your white balance in camera, it will fix them, and it will fix the orange background so that they both match, like this picture. And so sometimes you get mixed lighting when you're a beginner, and I used to get a lot of weird mixed lighting, especially with like strange green fluorescence, and I didn't know what was going on. So in a situation like this, you just lower your ISO to start at 100 or 200. I probably was maybe at 800 to 1250, 1600 here, thinking, hey, the room is dark. So in this case here, same location, I actually set my ISO really low. So maybe 100 to 160 sometimes I'm around. And that makes everything really, really dark. No contamination from the light that's coming from above. There's these terrible spotlights above him. And the only light that hits him is my light, my flash. So this temple is huge. It's I can't light up the Torahs. I can't light up the whole space. It's just a huge Titanic space. So I know when I walk in that I have to use the ambient lighting that's in the room. I need the lighting in the room to light up the wood back there. So I believe I'm at ISO 320 here. Yeah, 320. And here you'll see me actually shooting. So here I am setting up a backlight. And so the way I like to shoot is I'll have a sandwich. I call it the sandwich of light. I'll have 1 in the back for a hair light, and I'll have 1 in the front. You can see it here with the cover on it. And I'll usually have my subject just stand there. I'll tell her, right here, I'm telling her, just stand there. You're a little prop. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to get a little reading. And what you probably want to do is take like a little test shot. And now these are the settings I do not want to change. I do not want to change my ISO, and I do not want to change my aperture because those are already set up for the room ambient, okay? So what I want to do is actually lower my flash power, almost like a dimmer switch. So you saw from that photograph, the photograph was a little too bright. So now what I'll do is I'll go into the camera and just change the power of the flash to match what I want. So here I have the exposure I need. You know, the lighting on her face looks great. The background is nice and soft. This is shot at 1.4. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But what you want to do is like set your lighting up completely before you start, you know, fumbling around. Know your lighting, know your gear. Now, here's the photograph that was overexposed. Again, look at the background. The background is pretty much similar because I didn't change any of the aperture settings or ISO. So I already had my background set. I only changed the flash power. And that's what's pretty easy about flash. Once you learn it, is you understand there's two exposures. One is the background and one is your flash. So now that we're totally set up here I am with my reading glasses. I'm ready to work with her. So I tell her, now I'm posing her, and now we're going for our shot. Okay. And as soon as I see something that I like, boom. And this is the photograph that we deliver. So check out the hair light in the back. Now, one of the reasons that hair light was a little subtle is because it was feathered off. So here I did it a little bit more direct. I told her where to look, and I fired one with a little bit more hair light. And I like to deliver both. I like to deliver one with a little bit more hair light, a little bit more dramatic, and one that's a little bit softer. So when I work with my family, I like to pose them. Just see my video on how to pose families, but you can see everyone has an arm. And here we have our settings in. So now I know my colors are great. My background looks pretty good, and I'm ready to work with the family. I like to do a nice little couple of different poses with the family, loosen them up. Just know mom is always the most nervous. You're going to have to calm her down because all the moms are always a little bit tense. And it's not because of them. It's because moms worry about everyone else, and they actually take care of everything. So you have to make sure your moms are nice and relaxed and happy, and then everything else will will fall into place. But here she looks fabulous. In the other picture, she was a little bit stiff. Now, after a pose, I usually put everyone to cuddle around the kid. And that was one shot here. And in that shot, I needed a little bit more of dad. He was kind of hiding. So I just opened up so I could see. You always want to see everyone's clothes. So I just had dad there, show off his clothes a little bit more. Boom. And there we go. So we have the shot we wanted, which is everyone really happy. You got to be quick, and you want to be quick because everyone's expressions here are actually very genuine as much as they can be. And they're a lot of times reacting to what I'm saying or how I'm, interacting with them. So you got to be quick. I'm not here. Everyone interact and talk with Ava. Mazel's, love you.
So how you doing, Ava? Mazel's and love you. All sorts of stuff. Yeah, words. Yeah.
Words. So cheesy. I love it.
So here the two Speedlights are doing a nice job. After I have the family pose and everything, I usually will have them just fuss over the kid. And now I like to get some crazy cool Candids. Okay, so light placement. You notice here the light is very in front of them. That gives you a nice feathered look, a very soft look. Instead of it looking very flashy, you get a little bit more painterly look. So I like to point my light in front of my subject, sort of brushing them just slightly. And you can see I'm working with them. I now have the 70-200 on there, so I can back up, have dad and them, talk a little bit, have sis come in. And as soon as they started, interacting, I quickly have my light set up and I got them right away. So be ready with your lighting. You get authentic faces, which is important. Then we brought mom in. Again, the sandwich of light is still set up, which is great. And always get the formal pose, of course, bam. So they have it with the beautiful lighting in the background. There's the painterly look on mom's hair. And again, the soft feathered lighting just from those two Speedlights, as you can see. And then have them interact and talk and, just be careful that sometimes the kid leans back too much and you get awkward. So this is slightly awkward, but still, nice. Here, mom requested this pose, and I usually don't do this at a temple, but she wanted like a cool, I'm glad she asked for it because it looks fabulous. And make sure you don't have any kind of plumber's crack going on. But here I had them break the pose, and, in case they didn't like the coolness, the hip one at the temple, just throw in hey, put your arm around someone, grab someone, and just take that picture and deliver it in case they don't like the posed and superposed. All right, so in this situation, I put the kid in one of the pews, and you could see me shooting in the corner over there. This is the test shot, and it's totally blurry, overexposed, and her body is not positioned correctly. So it's just a quick first test shot, and then we start moving things around. really this was to see what the light was doing. Now, the first thing I did was lower that light, and I wanted some more of the ambient light to disappear. So I probably lowered my ISO. So here I fixed her feet. I had her position her knees forward and sort of separate her. I don't like when feet are together, so I like them apart a little bit. And you could see it's a little darker, a little moodier. And what we did here is we are now finagling the front light. And the backlight I wanted to raise a little bit. Here we had a little bit of a laugh, but you can see the backlight now is taking into effect. So we have backlight, we have forelight, we have the front light, and now we can start working, and then we can, do a couple of positions and poses. There's me working on the floor, and we get the shot that we want, which is this one here.
That's pretty. Okay. Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we are on the bima. The bima is the platform, the top of the temple where the Torahs are, and where the the little where you actually read the Torah. And so here we're going to take pictures in front of these gold doors. The first thing I'm thinking is I got to feather my light because those gold doors are very gold. And so there, it looks like I just felt my butt right there. Oh yeah, I'm always looking for lens caps because I put them in my back pocket. So here I'm going to probably feather the light. And here we did a test shot, again, really quick to check powers. And then once you have your light down, you could start working. Here the kid is being a funny thing. And this is what I was going for. So soft, beautiful light right in there. And you can see in her eyes how soft the light is there because it's close to her. Now, after doing the individual shots, I realized here that I wanted the light to be further back. One of the things you have to worry about is fall off. So if you have the light close to dad, then he's going to be very lit up. But by the time the light gets to mom, it's going to be like about a stop less. So to combat that, you do have to sacrifice, distance. I like having the light close because it's beautiful, but you'll have to sacrifice distance. And so here the light is further back, but you're going to get a little bit of a harsher light. If you look at her eyes right here, the light is really small as opposed to before. This is the light very close. It's a bit softer. But it's okay. It's a trade-off because everyone will be evenly lit here as they put on the tallis. And, that's the shot I want is nice. Boom. And there we go. We got them putting the tallis on and fussing over her. And that I'm shooting this with a 35 millimeter, but I have my light power set already. And it's good to get a couple of detail shots here of mom and dad with the kid. So I like doing that too. Now I brought the light closer again. And if you do bring the light back to being closer, because I'm going for this shot right now, which is a little dramatic shot. But if you get the light closer, you got to change its power or change your ISO. So you can go back and forth. You can I like keeping my ISO pretty consistent, to control grain. And I like to control the light power because I can do it pretty fast from my, controller that's on top of the camera. But you can also, if maybe you can't control your light, you might want to just control the ISO. That will work too. And then we changed positions. So I used the light here. You can see that I have a ladder, and you need a light stand if you're shooting at temples. You need a light stand that's really, really tall because some of these bimas are really high. So I have a ladder and I have a light stand that's really high. This was a quick test shot to make sure the lights were great, and you can see that the backlight is working on them. And here I am walking fast. So here's the sandwich of light. I got rid of the family, and now what I wanted to do was just photograph her with the sandwich of light front and back, and just took a couple of test shots to make sure that everything was cool. Here's a test shot, and I realized I wanted less of the background, so I lowered my ISO to make the wall go away. And here's the final shot. So I have painterly look from that backlight on her, and the front light is lighting up her face, and I think that's beautiful. Then using that same light, I wanted mom and dad to be in the background. The problem is,
so since they're in the darkness, I had to raise my ISO, but my lights got brighter. So I'm raising my ISO to 800, but I'm lowering my lights because we have to bring them out from the background. Okay.
Maybe you pay attention.
Good, they're in there. 1, 2, 3, beautiful. And look over here, kiddo.
Now the background was so dark, what I had to do was raise the ISO. And once you raise the ISO, that will bring the light power from the flashes will be overexposing her. So you have to lower all your flashes if you raise ISO. A quick grab using the same lighting here. Okay, and then I saw this light in the temple, and I decided to use that as a backlight. So if you don't have a second light, here I'm using the tiny one as the main light because we're in an awkward position. But you can see how bright that light is. You can see the shadow it's causing on the on my face right there and on the umbrella. So I'm going to use that as her hair light. And you could do this with the sun. You can do this with any kind of spotlight. Use that as the backlight right there. And we got a couple of different shots. We got her to laugh a little bit. And so find your own backlight in the environment if sometimes you don't have a backlight. And so here I use that to feather. I feathered the light a little bit. I got another reaction. But here the light's a little smaller. But it's still beautiful light as long as you keep it bright enough and show them some pictures every now and then so they know what the heck you're doing. And I use that same light for this picture, which I really like. It's, they're dressing the Torah to put it away, but it looks really, really cool using those lights. So try to find the lights in the environment.
There you have it, guys. Beautiful soft light using only Speedlights. Don't be afraid. You just need 4, 8, 12 AA batteries. All right, I'll see you guys next time.